To start off, I downloaded the free platform game assets and the warped cave assets off of the Unity Asset Store. And I brought in the sprites I created for my player. I set up some ground that my player can stand on, and I brought in a character controller 2D script that can be found on Bracky's GitHub. I attached the character controller 2D script to my character. I made sure that my player was on a layer titled Player, and I added 2 colliders. A box collider to the top half of my player and a circle collider to the bottom. I later focused in on these colliders, creating an empty game object called Ceiling Checker at the top of the box collider and an empty game object called Ground Checker at the bottom of the circle collider. I made both of these empty game objects children of the player. Then I added a new script called Player Movement. At the start of the script, I called for a public character controller and a public animator. Then I called a public float titled Run Speed and set that equal to 40, a float horizontal move, set that equal to 0, a Boolean jump that is equal to false, a crouch that is also equal to false. It would probably take about all day to go through the script line by line and read out every single thing that's in it. So I'll probably just show a video or show a photo of it at the end of the video, so that way if you want to copy it down you can. I will say I had an error when I was redoing this, but when I did it initially in my project, I didn't have any errors and I had it down the exact same way. And at the last line, I do have a late update, but fixed update should also work as well. If you end up getting an error saying there's no key or button assigned to crouch, it's because it's not configured yet. So if you want to assign that, you can go into Unity, go to Edit, I believe it's in Project Settings and then Input, and there should be an Input Manager on your inspector. And if there is a jump function there, you can always change the keys that you want to correspond to the jump. And I would just duplicate the jump and then just rename it Crouch. And from there, you can assign whatever key you want to the crouch function. That should trigger the animation. But then I set up my animations, so I dragged in my sprite sheets, kind of messed around with the time in between keyframes, and now I'm in the animator window and I'm setting up some different conditions. So I have the float speed, and then the Boolean is jumping and is crouching, and I'm just setting that up in between each animation. So for idle, if the speed is above 0.1, it switches to walking, and then if it's below that, it switches back to idle. And then for jumping, I kind of had trouble with, but I went from any state, if is jumping is true, to transition into the jumping animation. And then from there, if the speed is greater than 0.1 and is jumping is false, I have it going back to walking. And then if the speed is less than 0.1 and is jumping is false, it's going back to idle. And then for crouching, I just have is crouching is true. From the idle state and the walking state, it'll transition to crouching. And then if crouching is false and speed is greater than 0.1, it's going to go back to walking. And if it is less than 0.1, it's going to go back to idle again. And then here are those pictures of the player movement script that I said I was going to put at the end. So thanks for watching, and that's about it. Thank you.